Now, the fight over the future of the Democratic Party is taking place over the now contentious Democratic Platform. Now, if you didn't know, the Democratic Platform is a document that shows what you're supposed to be standing for as a party. Now, it's non-binding, which means you can go whatever way you want, and you can oppose things on the platform. But generally, it's supposed to signal, hey, we're the Democratic Party. This is what we stand for. This is what we want to see, and our policies will go forward on this, right? On these specific issues. Now, the Democratic platform right now has got two different sides. You've got Bernie Sanders and his group of incredibly progressive appointees that are fighting to make the platform the most progressive in history, to represent actual liberal priorities, versus Hillary Clinton's group of DLC corporatist Democrats and lobbyists who basically are going up against each other to agree on a platform to which the eventual Democratic nominee will supposedly stand behind. Okay. Now, during one of the 9-hour meetings in St. Louis, Missouri on Friday, members of the DNC's platform drafting committee did vote on a lot of different issues, with both sides coming together for some issues and others where they had massive disagreements. So I want to start with where they agree. Let's start with the good news. Now, the panel did vote unanimously to back a proposal to abolish the death penalty. Well, that's great. Progressive, right? Now, they also adopted language calling for breaking up too big to fail banks and enacting a modern-day Glass-Steagall. Nice. Okay, so hey, we're off to a good start. Death penalty, that's kind of a no-brainer, but the Glass-Steagall thing, well, that's definitely due to Bernie Sanders' influence. Great. Now, another thing that has Bernie Sanders' name on it is for expanding Social Security. The official party platform that they had agreed upon, and this is just a draft, and it continues into Miami later, or Florida later, sorry, not Miami. They're backing Social Security, an expansion of the program. So that's great. I like that. Now, I do have to note a couple of things. Now, Hillary Clinton, to my knowledge, is still pro-death penalty. Now, she says it's for heinous, it should be reserved for heinous crimes. Okay. There's her stance on that. Now, she also hasn't adopted the position of passing a 21st century Glass-Steagall, nor does she want to break up the banks as a whole. Now, she will consider breaking up the banks that pose a systemic risk. Now, to that I ask, okay, well, right now there are banks out there that have trillions in securities, right? That could go bad. That's a risk. And there's enough risk in these to bring down the economy several times over, the world economy. I would say they pose a pretty big risk and should be broken up. Now, she disagrees. Now, she also has come around to expanding Social Security, but basically she was just stealing Bernie Sanders' idea during the primary. Well, gee, isn't that bold leadership? Now, on the minimum wage, the committee accepted that the minimum wage should be raised to a living wage of $15 an hour. Now, there was an amendment on there put forward by Sanders pick Keith Ellison that would have actually indexed that to wages, indexed that wage to inflation. But they voted down that amendment. Now, there's a reason. They said that they already have that somewhere else in the document, so we didn't have to have it twice. Okay. I'm not really buying that argument, but okay. Moving forward. Where do they disagree? Now, there are some pretty big issues of where they did not come to a consensus. The Clinton side of the committee voted down a number of measures proposed by Bernie Sanders picks that would have come out against, for example, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, fracking, and the Israeli occupation of Palestine. Now, those are having to be really big sticking points. So now, with Hillary Clinton, look, I'm sure it's no surprise to you guys that if she ends up winning the presidency, that she's going to rubber stamp the TPP. Now, she says, no, I'm against it. Even though I once had called it the gold standard of trade and worked on it extensively at the State Department. But, I'm against it because Bernie Sanders. because this guy forced me to be against it because it's politically unpopular. Trade deals like NAFTA, CAFTA, and the TPP, very unpopular. And even over in Britain, the TTIP, also very unpopular. Okay, so a lot of frustration with these bad trade deals that happen to help corporations over people. Okay, so we know she's going to pretty much rubber stamp that, right? So of course her committee's like, no, we love free trade. Free trade. We love the fact that corporations can now overrule regulations on the countries that, if these regulations make them lose their part of their bottom line. If they make me lose money, then I can sue you over this regulation, and then you'll have to get rid of it as a signatory of this deal. Well, obviously that's not progressive at all. And the courts, the tribunals that they go to, are made up of non-elected lawyers that are appointed by the corporations. That's not progressive at all. But Hillary Clinton and the DLC Democrats are like, no, I love these pro-free trade deals because our corporate donors love these deals. Not only that, but the committee also decided to continue fracking, with Clinton appointees voting against a moratorium. So, yay fracking. I hope you all like bottled water, because under Hillary Clinton, we're going to continue to frack baby frack. Great. Now, not only that, but common sense proposals like a carbon tax to reduce CO2 emissions were also blocked, as well as pushing for single-payer healthcare. Now, there's another big point of contention, and that was, of course, Israel and Palestine. And this is according to the AP. Quote, the committee defeated an amendment by Sanders supporter James Zogby that would have called for providing Palestinians with an end to occupation and illegal settlements, and urged an international effort to rebuild Gaza. AP reports that's a measure which Zogby and Sanders together helped craft, and that's reported by the AP. Now, instead, the adopted draft said it advocates working towards a two-state solution of the Israel-Palestinian conflict that guarantees Israel's security with recognized borders and provides the Palestinians with independent sovereignty and dignity. Now, because of some of these provisions, Cornel West, who was a Sanders supporter, abstained from the vote and said this, watch.
But there's no way for me as a human being, as a teacher and a citizen, that if we can't say a word about TPP, if we can't talk about Medicare for all explicitly, if the greatest prophetic voice dealing with impending ecological catastrophe can hardly win a vote, and if we can't even acknowledge occupation as something that's real in the lives of a slice of humanity. I don't care what color they are, I don't care what culture, whatever. Then it just seems to me there's no way in good conscience I can say, take it to the next stage. I wasn't raised like that. That's not my calling. Doesn't mean I'm better than anybody. I'm just being truthful. So I have to abstain. I have to abstain. I have no other moral option. It'd be a violation of my own limited sense of moral integrity and spiritual conscience. And it's not an attempt to downplay anybody else, but that's how I roll.
Yeah, that is why I love Brother Cornel West. Preach it, man. Preach it, brother. Preach it. Now, of course, Bernie Sanders was a little bit more optimistic than Cornel West. In a statement, Sanders praised some of the platform while criticizing some of the issues that were voted down. He said, quote, I am glad that we have won some very important provisions in the platform drafting process so far, but much more needs to be done. And he recently went on this Sunday's State of the Union, and he had this to say.
Are you ready to declare victory, embrace the platform, and endorse Hillary Clinton as a nominee?
I think you're right, Jake. I think you captured exactly what happened in St. Louis the other day. We won some very, very important victories in our effort to try to make it clear to the American people that the Democratic Party stands with the middle class, stands with working families, and is prepared to take on Wall Street and the big money interests. But we lost some very important fights. We're going to take that fight to Orlando, where the entire committee meets in 2 weeks. And if we don't succeed there, we're certainly going to take it to the floor of the Democratic Convention. And that is what this discussion in St. Louis did not include, as you indicated, the need to deal in a very strong way with the crisis of climate change. We need a tax on carbon. We need to end fracking. We need to be very, very clear that the minimum wage must be raised to $15 an hour. In my view, we need a Medicare for All single-payer program. So we have made some good gains, and I want to thank all of the people who participated in that process. We have more to do.
Absolutely. We have a lot more to do. So right now the Democratic Party is giving on some of the easy issues. You know, $15 an hour, that's great. Except for the amendment that ties it to the to inflation. Now, the stuff they voted down, well, in that, you can definitely see the hand of corporate America shaping the platform. Like, for example, on fracking. Now, we know fracking is bad. It's caused increased earthquake activities in the places where it's definitely been a booming, right, in the shale area. It's actually poisoned people's water as well as wasting a lot of water in the process itself. And to be honest, we still don't even know what's in the proprietary fluid. I mean, we should know that stuff because we're putting it in the ground. No, it's because a private corporation owns it. Well, they can't tell us. Great. So, you know, fracking, terrible. And not to mention, too, the incredible amounts of methane that's released by fracking alone, which, by the way, traps more than 100 times the heat that carbon does. Fracking is terrible, right? And yet, here it is on the platform. Now, I find that crazy and indefensible because, look, renewable clean energy at this point is now getting cheaper than fossil fuels. It makes no sense to have the Democratic Party continue to promote this. If you're serious about climate change, this is something that you cannot condone as a party. Now, it's the same thing on Medicare for All. 90% of people may have insurance now. That's according to the, to the numbers, right? But that doesn't mean that they can afford the high deductibles and copayments to use that insurance. Just because you have it doesn't mean you can afford to use it. That's one of the big problems of the for-profit health insurance industry. And that's why we need single payer more than ever. But sadly, Hillary Clinton and many establishment Democrats, well, they're still raising money from the health insurance industry. They're raising money from Big Pharma. They're raising money from Aetna and Cigna. Okay? And look, because of that, they're getting money from them. And, that obviously shapes what they're going to stand for. And if you're, getting money from health insurance companies, you're going to be like, yeah, health insurance reform with an individual mandate. Sounds fantastic. Yeah, sounds fantastic for their profits. And not only that, but several of the DNC picks on this very committee are corporate lobbyists. So they're going to represent corporate interests. If this doesn't show you that the Democratic Party, as it is under complete corporate control, I don't know what will. Now, Bernie Sanders wants to change that, and I don't know honestly if he can. But one thing is for sure, if we were to get the money out of politics, that would go a long way to make sure that our politicians actually represent us instead of the multinational corporations.